Hey everybody, how are you? I hope your day's going well so far. In this video, I'm going to be applying and working with a lot of newish things to me. It's just kind of what I would have done anyway today had I not been shooting a video. So I thought, hey, let's turn on the camera. We've got some new drugstore, some new kind of high-end type things. I've already got my moisturizer and sunscreen and all that on. So I'm going to start out with this new stick that I was pretty intrigued by. It's the Flex Foundation Stick from Milk, and I have it in the shade Vanilla. And I have been using this, I would say this is maybe my third or fourth time using it, and I feel like I love the look of it once I get it all blended in, but it hasn't always had the freshest staying power, and I'm not quite sure what to attribute that to. I don't know if I haven't set it enough. I don't know if the weather's just been super humid and, you know, that's been a factor, but I'm going to try to keep a close eye on it today. But this does seem to be a pretty good skin tone match for me. So we're just going to streak that around all over. I do like the packaging. It feels very solid. I was kind of expecting a magnetic closure, but that's okay. I'm gonna take my little Real Techniques Expert face brush. We're just joined at the hip these days, me and this brush. And I'm just kind of buffing that in circular motions, and I feel like this looks so good on the skin after I get it on. I feel like I end up with kind of a medium coverage out of this foundation. And it does say on Sephora's website, a medium coverage natural finish foundation that covers, calms, and flexes without creasing or caking. And it pretty much claims to be for any skin type. I feel like it's a little more matte in comparison to like the Bare Minerals Complexion Rescue Stick. But I still like the look and I enjoy the texture. I'm just still kind of trying to get a read on how well it lasts. Now, there was a little sale. It was a couple weeks ago, I want to say, on the Macy's website. And I think I saw Trend Mood post something about it, and there were just a ton of markdowns on like just pages and pages of products on their site. And I picked up a few just really random different things through that. And one of them is this thing called Fix It Color from Dior. I know, it's like I've never tried a Dior concealer before, but here we are. I have it in the peachy shade, which I guess is just the shade 200. And I love this packaging. I've never had any of their like lip balmy things that are packaged like this, and I think that's so cool. But this is what the concealer looks like. It's kind of peachy with one of those hydrating cores. And I've been using this for a few days to do a little correcting of darkness around the eye area, and it does feel like super smooth, really hydrating. But as you can see, the tone of the peach is a little bit more of a yellowish peach as opposed to a pinky peach. And I've always thought that the pinkier peach is what corrected my darkness the best. However, as I think you're gonna see here, this still can be effective. I'm just taking this little Real Techniques. It's one of the ones from the highlighter duo that I'm always pulling in to blend out concealer. And I've applied that around my melasma and also around the under eye darkness. And I just don't feel like it's a flawless fix, but I think it is doing something, you get me? I just find that the corrective products that are a bit more pinky peach, like they just do a little more magic on me. And it might just be my skin tone. This might be like perfect for someone else's skin tone, or color of discoloration might be part of the issue. But I got that blended in, and like I said, I think it did a little something, but not a ton. But it doesn't create a lot of dryness in that area, which is nice. So we're gonna kind of top that off and work with a new concealer as well. This is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Radiant Concealer. I just went ahead and picked this up during that sale too, because I was like, well, here's a good opportunity. It seemed like everything was marked down, and I have it in the shade 1C Light Cool. So it's kind of funny. It seems like Estee Lauder's following like the jumbo-sized applicator trend, right? It started with Shape Tape, and so many other brands have done it, and I know their regular Double Wear Concealer was just like a normal sized doe foot, and now this one, the Radiant, has the bigger doe foot, the buck foot. Okay, so I'm just gonna dab a little bit in my innermost corner, maybe a little down here, and some out here as well. And this has been a good tone for me. I feel like it covers well. And I really liked the old Double Wear Concealer anyway. Like, I always thought that did a fine job, but this one I think has maybe a little more moisture in it. So I'm choosing to use my flat brush because I kind of like the way that spreads concealer around. And I'm just dabbing it in. I truly believe I could have skipped that Dior corrector step and probably just gone straight to this and still achieve the same coverage level. This concealer has worn really well on me, and to touch it, like, I don't feel like there's some fast, like, setting of the product or anything. It says a skin-loving concealer with nurturing botanical extracts. It blends easily, ideal for dark circles, redness, spots, imperfections. It says the coverage is medium, the finish is radiant. I'm not sure I get where the actual radiant finish is coming from, though. Let's say this was an unlabeled product and I just put it on. I wouldn't think there was anything really radiant going on. I just think there's a little more maybe hydration in it than the original Double Wear concealer had, but I also don't feel like it did the best job on my melasma, and I don't know if that's showing on camera, but I can still kind of see it through. Next up, here's something different. It's from Physicians Formula, and it's like 3 powders in 1. It's from the Mineral Wear line. It says 3-in-1 setting powder. So I've screwed off the top, and I've got 3 different stoppers for each kind. I'm gonna try a little bit of the banana because that's actually the one I have not reached for yet. And I did learn last week, don't open anything with a stopper over your black leggings. Jimmy it out. See, they are kind of connected on the outside, but you still might have some surprises popping it off. And I'm gonna use just my e.l.f. small tapered brush here. And we'll use that to set the under eye. I'm not really gonna bake with it, but I don't know. Sometimes I wonder about the banana shades in my skin tone because I don't know that they necessarily brighten me up that much. But this is just so sheer, I don't think it's making a huge impact either way. But I'm just setting my under eye concealer a little bit there. I think I'll pop over to the white one. A bit of a struggle. Anybody got some pliers? There we go. All right. There's not much sifted out of that side, so I'm going to tap into my cap, which is nice that you can isolate, you know, the one shade and only tap out from one color. But this is just your standard kind of like, you know, Makeup Forever HD setting powder sort of texture. I feel like T-zone is now effectively set, and I don't want to leave out the pink, so let's see if that one opens any easier for us. For this one, I think I'll just lightly let some of this come all over. This is the one that they said would be good for what? Oh, it's on the bottom of my cap. Brightening. This is the brightening one. So I'm using, this is one of my BK Beauty brushes, by the way, by Lisa J. I mentioned those in a vlog recently, and I've been just kind of experimenting with them on and off. They're so soft. They really are luxurious, not just in look, but in feel, and I think Lisa did a great job here. And so I'm just taking that pink and I'm lightly putting it everywhere. I don't know that you can really see any effect. I don't know that these colors, while they're giving you 3, you know, they're so sheer and so light and finely milled. I'm not sure that they're differentiating themselves one from the next that much. But again, I didn't like bake with the yellow one. I'm not laying them on real thick. But my skin feels nice and smooth. I don't feel overly dry or anything, but I would say the texture of my skin feels nice and consistent. Next up, guys, I could not resist. I had to order it. I saw it on Ulta and I thought, I just have to know if this is any good. And this is their, yep, it's magnetic. This is their little watermelon palette, and one side is for face, one is for eyes. Now this is a pretty loosey-goosey kind of magnet here, like you can put them together for the effect of the full watermelon, but they just really easily come apart. So you have a face side and an eye side. So this is the face side, and you're getting what appears to be like a really glowy bronzer, a blush, and a highlight. And then you also have your eye stuff over here. And it kind of struck me as like the kind of thing they might put out at holiday time, just, you know, with a summery theme. So this is what we're gonna work with today. And as much as I wanted to be like freaking over the moon for this because it's so cute, like there's not a lot that I'm loving here. It's got its issues for me. This bronzer shade here, like it's pretty light, it's very shimmery. I'm not saying it doesn't have some effect on my skin because I feel like I can see it when I put it on, but it's not like a choice bronzer for me, you know? And there's definitely a satin finish on the blush, and then also definitely shimmer in the highlight. So I don't love that all three, that all 3 face shades had to have a sheen. But we're warming up the skin. We're using still the BK Beauty 104. It's kind of like the egg-shaped brush. I think it can be sort of like face powder, bronzer, blush, kind of a little multitasker. As you can see, I'm attempting like a little bit of contour here because I just feel like that's what people would tend to do, right? You got these 3 shades, one's blush, one's highlight, one's bronzer. One should be able to be used, you know, to get a little depth and dimension. Something about this bronzer, I feel like the tone is just slightly blush-like. It almost reminds me of that borderline shade in their Natural Face palette that's almost like a bronzer, but it comes off a little more blushy. Then I'm gonna go to the blush, which I like. I don't have complaints about this blush. I think it's a pretty shade. I think it's pigmented. There's nothing wrong with it. I really like the blush and highlight, and overall that's probably like my favorite thing about the entire watermelon palette situation. So if I had to go back and do it again, I probably wouldn't buy it again considering so little of the palette I'm really enthusiastic about. But I didn't know that going in. I just had high hopes and I just like the concept. I like the design. So now that the blush is on, we're gonna hop on over to our highlight here and let's get a look at this. Very glowy. Just couldn't be more of a classic champagne-y highlight tone, you know? I do feel like I like the look of it best when I give it a little buff into the skin. It might just be something about the texture. You know, just pop it on and give your brush a little bit of a swirl and it really gets a nice smoothed out, even look. Gonna let a little bit of that come upward as well so the whole face gets to glow a little bit. Do I need more blush? Yeah, I probably do. Let's tap into that again. Oh, I forgot to go in reverse order like that person said in the hot takes video. She said you should go highlight, blush, bronzer. I forgot. Okay, I'm happy now. And like I said, I feel like the blush has just a slight satiny finish. It's not as shimmery as these other 2 guys over here. Did my camera just like turn everything green here? I feel like I'm turning into the color of my shirt or something. What's going on? I don't know. So now we're gonna press pause on the watermelon. We'll come back to it for eyes. There are some eyeshadows that I like in there, but as a whole, I'm not feeling like it's worthwhile. Just knowing what I know now, I've done a couple looks with it and it's just kind of meh. Here's another thing that I got on the little sale on Macy's was a mini MAC Prep and Prime Fix Plus, and it's in the pineapple scent, and I'm loving pineapple these days. I made a grapefruit salad over the weekend involving pineapple, strawberry, and blueberry, and the girls loved it, and I like wanted to eat the entire dish of it, but I just settled for a few bites. But here we go. We're gonna That's how I have to get my pineapple fix. Since I'm making the fruit salad for the kids, I gotta use the setting spray. It smells good. It does. I can definitely tell it's pineapple, but it's not like sickeningly sweet or anything. And you guys probably know the effect you get from Fix Plus, you know. It might make you look a little less powdery in the end. And sometimes I'll just grab for Fix Plus if I want to like wet my brush or something before using a certain product. Why this setting mist? Well, that's just what I've seen other people do. I have no better reason than that. Next, we're gonna do brows, and I'm gonna reach for something different. I had mentioned getting a PR package that had some of these great instant lift brow pencils from e.l.f. in there, and I love these. And these, they say, are their best-selling brow product, but number 2 is their skinny pencil. So I have that in the shade Neutral Brown, and I thought let's play with the skinny one today and see, I don't know, if we like this as well as the other one. The thing about skinny brow pencils, does anybody feel like that's the single product in your makeup stash that you will go through the quickest? Like, I go through skinny brow pencils faster than anything. I've got a lot piling up in an empties bin, but I don't know if I should even feel accomplished about it, you know, because it's just like, well, that wasn't even challenging. Like, I used one for a few weeks and it was gone. Boom. Can somebody tell me, do your kids like watching a show called Super Why? It's a PBS program, and it's a lot about letters and reading and sounds and stuff like that. Belle and Eve are freaking obsessed with this show, and the songs are like, who's got the power to read. I shouldn't be singing that too louder. It's probably gonna like wake them up out of their sleep and they're gonna like sleepwalk in here and start like dancing to it. But it's like super cheesy, but they're all into it. And I feel like it might be the most educational show I've seen for kids. But if you're passively parent watching it, like you're not really sitting there with them and you're just kind of like keeping an eye on it, it makes like no sense. Like we've got superheroes, super readers, now they're in little like spaceships, now they're trying to like finish the line of a book, but then we've got mystery letters and why is one of them a pig, and I don't know. I think it's a wonderfully educational show. parts of it are just a little wacky, especially if you're not like really keyed into it at the time and you're just like looking at the screen like, wait, what? So this pencil is not obviously filling me in quite as fast as the thicker Instant Lift pencil does, but I feel like it's laying down product every bit as well as any other skinny brow pencil I've used. You know, it's not too dry. I'm not working hard to make color transfer. At the same time, I don't feel like it's too soft. One that's been really soft is the ColourPop one. I think that's probably the softest skinny pencil I've used that has worn down the quickest. But I just kind of go through and seek to even out as much as I can. And then you do have your spoolie side where you can kind of even out a little more. I can see that happening. And then I'm just going to use my Almay Brow Styler, which I have in medium brown. And this is what I've been loving to set my brows these days because nothing holds quite like this. This gets the hidden gem of the drugstore label for this video, for sure. I reviewed it in one of my bite-size reviews, and it's just pretty great, I think. As far as these little tinted gels go, where if you really wanted to just fill your brows in with this and only this, I did that in the bite-size review and it worked, but it's also just a great finishing touch. It's also great to give yourself random little spots if you just want random, you know, brown spots in different places. Next, I am going to put on a little bit of eye primer. This is my Milani eyeshadow primer. And you know what? I really do enjoy being pretty consistent with the eye primer because I'm switching up eyeshadow products so often. The eye primer kind of gets to be my constant. And I know that this tends to work best with a lot of different things. And I think it gives products their best shot at looking good, building up well on me, and also lasting well. Now we're gonna go over to the eye side of our watermelon palette where we have 5, 6, 7, 8 shades. Let's give you a good look at these. Here's what's annoying. They go out of their way to give you a color here. Okay, something that's gonna be eye-catching. Something that's really gonna define the look of this palette is like this bluish sparkly shade. And it just does not build up well. I've tried putting it on a sticky base. If I looked really closely at my look, I could see this bluish sparkly sheen, but it was not like satisfying. This color right next to it called Lucy Juicy is another one of those sort of shimmery textures where I feel like they're trying to reinvent shimmer a little bit. Like it can be very sparkly, but it takes some building on the eyes. Whereas Water Mellow Out right here is more of like a traditional shimmer and it lays down more fully and smoothly. So my complaints are mainly just on these two and everything else works fine. But if we do kind of take those two out, what do we have here? Just kind of like a plummy neutral palette, which isn't terrible, but it's like, you know, this shade up here I really like is called Wine and Rind Me, and it's a nice matte, really deep wine color. It's beautiful. I think it's interesting that they gave you that and then they also gave you a black. I guess the black to look like a seed. So now what? Let's do Melon Me right here. It's really pretty much the most logical shade to take to your crease. It's kind of like a taupey mauve. Melon Me, what does that even mean? Melon Me? Now it is only an 8-shade palette, so it's not like you're gonna have a wardrobe of like different crease colors, but this works fine. Try to get it blended nicely on the inner part as well if I can. I'm also going to go here to One in a Melon, which is our satin finish, kind of shimmery, pinky shade. And I'm going to let that go into my crease too. Why not? Build up a little pink. Get to have 2 doctor's appointments today. One for Biddy, which is just a follow-up from her little ear infection, just to make sure that that's all good now, which I think it is. And then I have my 32-week checkup later in the day. Okay, so I'm just gonna blend that out a little bit on the edge. As you can see, that pink is nicely pigmented. I have no complaints about that. And then I'm gonna go to Melon High Club right here, another matte. So our mattes are Melon High Club, the one we started out in the crease with, called Melon Me, Wine and Rind Me, and So Seedy over here. Just use that as a little highlight. If we want a little glowy highlight, we can go to Water Mellow Out. Give a little shimmer up there. And then I think I'm going to take that color with a flat brush, the Water Mellow Out, and this is, like I said, the shimmer that I think applies the best. It's just what you expect shimmer to be. Not like this weird, difficult to build up, mysterious, how do I work with it shade. It's just, it's shimmery. It's got a little bit of a pinky hue to it, I think. And then I want to bring in Wine and Rind Me, because this shade does look so dark, but what brings the beauty out of it and kind of brings some life to it, I think, is when it interacts with some lighter shades out of the rest of this palette. So I'm going to use that with my flat brush too. And we'll just start patting that out here. Anybody else have this palette? What do you think of it? Were you a little disappointed, or do you absolutely love it? I felt like I was a little disappointed. Okay, so as you can see, I'm getting that on the outer corner and I'm letting it overlap with that lighter shade there, just so you can maybe see a little more color coming out of it. I don't know. It's not gonna be like really super plummy or super burgundy. It's like a nicely pigmented shade, but it's not going to blow you away with color. It still is pretty dark. Now I'm going back into that same shade, but with a smaller, more targeted brush. And I'm gonna really hit the crease now, because I tried to get there with my flat brush, and I did a little bit. But yeah, that's probably like my favorite shade in the palette, is this dark wine. And then I think back to pink and our E25 brush, and just build that up a little more right out here. I'm liking the look. Did it require this palette and this palette only? I don't think so. Like I said, the bluish shade I thought was kind of disappointing, kind of weak. I'm taking just a hint more plum, and I don't really feel like going smoky all around the eye, but I am going to just kind of let my outer corner, my outer lower lash line, have a little something here. Pregnancy wise, I just feel so big, like my bump feels like it's just way out there. You know, I still have like 8 weeks to go, and I just wonder how much further out am I gonna be? How much more can the human body stretch? I don't know. Okay, my camera stopped on me, but I only did one thing. I used my light liner in the lower inner rim. I think I'm gonna try a different liner across the upper lash line. This is the Benefit Badgal Bang in the shade Dark Purple. I think I may have used this once like in my waterline, but I'm gonna play with it a little bit more going on the skin. I think a plummy liner kind of plays nicely off of that dark plum shadow, right? It's going on easily, it seems. It is a retractable liner, and it has like a smudger at the other end. Okay, so I'm defined, I'm lined up there on the upper lash line. And then we have a new primer that I found at Walmart. This is from Milani, and it's a lash primer called the Violet One. It just says the Violet One there on the bottom. You know, it's basically claiming to do what any lash primer does, right? Boost up your look, give you a thicker looking lash. And yesterday, I tried it for the first time with Superhero, and I don't think it was necessary even. I don't think it did any favors. It thickened up each lash a little bit, but Superhero does that really well on its own anyway. And it just kind of looked almost too thick and not really any more lengthened. So if you're like a Superhero loyalist, don't feel the need to like try this out and add this to the mix, because I really don't feel like it did anything great. But this is what the brush looks like. It is a light, you know, lavender colored primer. One side of your brush has a little longer bristles, one side is shorter. So I'm only doing this on the top lashes, and I feel like I'm fully coated there. Can you see they have a violet tint? Not for sure, but I think that may be dropping the curl slightly. And that is something I run into sometimes with pretty much any eyelash primer except the little black primer from Estee Lauder. That one won't drop your curl. That'll like solidify your curl. But a lot of the primers that tend to have a pasty kind of white appearance to them, it may just be newness of product, or maybe even over application of it. I don't know. Too much goop on the wand. But sometimes I feel like primers can be too heavy, like more than my lashes need to carry, you know? So I feel fully evenly coated on both sides. And today we're gonna choose a different mascara to top this off. I did wait for it to fully dry yesterday. It doesn't give that instruction, but you wouldn't want the lightness of this color mixing with the blackness of your mascara. I think I'm gonna try it today with Super Supersizer, because I don't feel like this necessarily thickens up the lashes as much as Superhero, but it's always a good lengthener. So we'll see if we like the added thickness that this gives this. But that primer does not feel even close to dry, so maybe we should figure out lips first. I want to try out one of these new MAC lipsticks, these Love Me lipsticks. They've got really beautiful packaging that's kind of tinted on each end, and it looks like there are several different color families, and some have more of a nude look on the end, some are more reddish. But it says this revolutionary cream formula lipstick is the next step beyond the iconic MAC mattes, representing a stunning innovation in sensation, application, and wear. Lighter than air texture, intense color, soft shine, all-day moisturization in one swipe. We all know this probably ain't staying on and moisturizing my lips all day, right? The shade I'm gonna put on, I thought played off of some of the berry up there. It's called Moncoeur, M-O-N-C-O-E-U-R. Let's just see. I have not used this before. Ooh, it is smooth. Feels really thin, yet like has a great slip across the lips, and very full color at that. Like I wouldn't have to go over anything. Any amount of extra work I'm doing here is just to perfect my outer line, you know? Smells, you know, I can pick up that hint of vanilla like MAC lipsticks tend to have, but it just had a super nice soft slip across the lips, but a real thinness. But yeah, we'll see how this goes. I'm excited to experiment with more of those shades. Now I think we are ready to put on some Supersizer and see how that builds up on top of this primer. I'm liking it better than what it did with Superhero. Superhero almost looked a little clumpy on top of this, but these two formulas I think are actually playing pretty well together. Getting really nice length, which I always expect from Supersizer, but the lashes themselves are looking a little thicker. I had one little spot of like that lilac primer I could still see, so I was like painstakingly trying to coat that. I'll do a little bit on my lower lashes here too. Sorry, just kind of trying to get my hair somewhat doing something, but there's the end look on the lashes. Again, impressive length, I think, but even ramped up thickness. So if there's a mascara out there that you're trying to make, like just do more for your lashes and thicken them up, I do see an effect from the primer there. Oh, I feel like somebody is moving and clawing at me from the inside. Some of his movements will absolutely like make me stop in my tracks. Finished look-wise, I mean, I'm pleased with the look of the skin. I don't think it's a full coverage look, but I'm totally fine with it. I think it looks good. The eye look, it is kind of one of those eye looks I would tend to enjoy. I think it would have been cool if there was a better like additional statement color in here other than this, because this kind of sparkly turquoise teal just does not build up that well, and without it you're pretty much purely left going in this sort of pinky plum direction. Face colors there I kind of liked more, and I do like the feel of this lipstick. Thin, very smooth glide, very potent opaque color. Let me know your thoughts on any of these products in the comments section down below. Make sure you're subscribed, because some people say they get unsubscribed. Make sure that notification bell is turned on so you have your best shot at knowing when a video comes out. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.